Before we begin, I would just love to remind you guys to please like and subscribe. Also, comment down below because I really want to start a discussion with my videos. I'll give you a few minutes or, well, seconds to write something down. What do you think about Pokemon Black and White in general? Do you want those games to be remade soon or not? And also, if you want to be extra nice, you can always share this video with your friends, family, grandmother. I'm sure your grandmother will appreciate this video. I'm wearing like nice sweater and everything. But yes, that is all I have to ramble for the beginning. Let's just get back to the actual topic of this video. Hello guys, gals and gamers. My name is Miko, I'm a game designer, and today we are talking about Pokemon Black and White remakes. And you might be thinking to yourself, hey, isn't it a bit too early to start talking about, the next remakes in Pokemon games? We just got Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl a month ago. And yeah, I agree. It is kind of early to talk about what the next remakes will be like. And so I will not be talking about like any features or any like details on what we could see, but there are two reasons why I wanted to talk about this now. One is that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl do bring up a fair amount of really important questions we should be talking about when it comes to like the future of Pokemon. And two, I just like Generation 5 a lot, so I wanted to talk about it. So you might be thinking to yourself, okay, what are these questions? Well, the first thing really is what kind of a remake will be? Like, what kind of remakes will we get in the future? Will it be in the same way as Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl? Will it be made by another company? Like, does Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl set like this trend of fateful remakes? Or could we see something else? Something like Let's Go, something like Legends, or something a bit more like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? And what about the art style as well? Another question that we should ask when it comes to Generation 5 is that how will the generation exactly be remade? In the way, like, Generation 5 is a very special generation when it comes to Pokemon. Usually, we just have the main games and the enhanced versions or something else, like Sword and Shield had DLC. But in Generation 5's case, the something else was straight up sequels with their own protagonist, own story, newly made region with more characters, more areas. They grew up. So, how can they handle that? Is it possible that we get even more remakes for Generation 5 than Black and White? Will we also get Black and White 2 remade? Those are the questions I really want to talk about. So, let's start talking about the first question, which was again, what kind of style will it be in? Will it be in a similar style to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, or something else? Well, I think the least likely here is a Let's Go style remake of Generation 5. There are a couple of things why I think so. First of all, the original Let's Go was basically a nostalgia game for people. It was an introductory game. It was meant to get people who played Pokemon Go to cross over into kind of the main series of Pokemon. And I just don't know how Pokemon Go will be in 5 years. It was kind of popular still when Let's Go did come out. But nowadays, it's been going down a bit in popularity from what I have been observing. Sure, it still makes a lot of money, so that's not a problem. But there are definitely difficulties that Pokemon Go will have to face in like the next maybe even 5 years before we get a sequel or the remake of Pokemon Black and White. So there's that. The only point I could see for a Let's Go style remake is that maybe they want another introductory game for whatever the next console is after the Switch. So that could be that. Another unlikely option for me, I think, is a Legends game. That's because Legends Arceus at the moment, that's the game we are getting. It varies so much in the gameplay area, and it's not really trying to be even like a remake, it's trying to be its own thing. So if we just got a Legends game about Kyurem, for example, where Kyurem, Reshiram, and Zekrom would like all fuse into one, like we got White Kyurem in the sequels and Black Kyurem also in the sequels, and we all know that those three Pokemon used to be one being, the original dragon, however it may look like. Wrong picture, but that will do. So that kind of Legends game based on the Generation 5 kind of writes itself, but I don't think that would replace a remake. We might get one, I hope we do, but it will not be like a replacement for a remake. So I think the most likely option here is a faithful remake. And that is, well, one, Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl seem to be selling really well, which is really good. And it's just easier for Game Freak to have another company make it and make it really faithful, because then they don't have to intervene and collaborate so much. They can just leave like, hey, do this game, but in HD and 3D graphics, and you get a lot of money because Pokemon sells a lot. That's a pretty good deal for a company to do. And you might be thinking to yourself, like, oh, another Fateful remake, but I thought Game Freak didn't want to be predictable. That's exactly why we have sequels in Generation 5, because they don't want to be predictable. And I think that goes for my point, actually, because Game Freak doesn't want to be predictable, but at the same time, they do know how much this franchise means to its players, how much it means for the fans. So they want to have a remake, but they're not so interested in doing that. That's why they made another company do a Generation 4 remake that is really faithful, and then they are themselves doing Legends Arceus. So it makes sense. They want to be more creative, they want to try out new things. That is definitely something modern Game Freak wants to do. Do they always succeed? That's up for you to decide, but that's what they do. And lastly, what about the art style of these, let's say, Fateful remakes? Possibly. I don't think it will be as like chibi-like or as cartoony or as colorful as Generation 4 remakes were Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. And that is for a few reasons again. People are kind of mixed about the art style choices in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, mostly the character designs. And I don't think like a chibi art style, especially like that, would fit really like the themes and atmosphere of Generation 5. Generation 5 is kind of like more grown up, even the characters are 15, like the trainer you play as is 15 compared to the usual 10 or 11. And the themes you have in the gameplay and kind of the edginess and the urban environment, it fits more to be something else maybe than chibi. I know the original sprite art is of course chibi, but maybe they'll try to do something a bit different. Also, the action and the camera are more dynamic in this game, so definitely it will have to be something more fluid and maybe something more stylistic. If you remember stuff like Skylar's Gym, the flying type gym in the first and maybe even second game, where you were like in flying through the air in cannons and everything, and then there are like these views of Castelia City. where you just walk around and the camera is in a different angle and it looks all cool and stuff. So maybe something like Let's Go in how the game world is built, or maybe a chibi art style, but more like stylized to fit the region better. We'll just have to wait and see. And now moving on to the sequel question. Do I think it is possible for us to get both Black and White and Black and White 2? Well, there isn't really much options here. The options are one, we get them, and two, we don't. That's it. Because there's no like mixing those games up. As I said, these are kind of separate games. They're not like an enhanced version like Crystal was to Gold and Silver, so you can't mix them up in the remake like they did in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. These are their own games, their own protagonist, 2 years apart story-wise, and they have their own story. By that logic, I also don't think like Black and White 2 could be added as DLC to Black and White remakes. That also wouldn't work. But we have another company making the remakes now, so I think Black and White 2 remakes are not really out of the question here. And since another company is making them, maybe we could be getting remakes faster, not necessarily of the main series, to maybe we can get something like Pokemon Colosseum remakes as well, because you have to have some years apart for all of the remakes. You can't just put out a remake every year, because then you will run out of games to be remade. But you can definitely do them a bit faster. You don't have to wait another 7 years to do a remake. So I think it is very possible that we will get Black and White 2 remakes. Could be something like we get Black and White remakes in Gen 9 when the next Nintendo console launches around that time, kind of like how we got Let's Go as the first Nintendo Switch Pokemon game. Maybe something like that. And then in Generation 10 or a few years later, we would get Pokemon Black and White 2 remade. And that is something I would really want to see. And whatever they really decide to do, I'm kind of in for it. I just like Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2 so much. And I do want to see them be kind of more faithfully remade. I wasn't so into Auras. And the games are good. I don't want them to be meddled with too much. So that's how I feel about it. But what do you guys think? Let me know again down in the comments, and I will try to reply to every one of you. But I have nothing else to say here, so I will just see you guys next time. Bye bye.